everyone, and welcome to Winged Victory with Rob and Scott, a podcast by the National Museum of World War II Aviation here in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Well, welcome to another year of Winged Victory podcast. My name is Scott Clares, and once again, I'm with my partner, the normally sultry voiced Rob Gale, but
there's a little raspy. Oh yeah,
a little more Barry White going on right now.
We might do some Barry White later.
Yeah, coming out of something, so I think he'll be good to go. So before we start our episode, I just wanted to make sure that you guys stuck around to the end of it. We're going to be showing another trailer for the docu-series that's being put on by, what is it?
Coleman Aviation. History's greatest aircraft.
In conjunction with the National Museum of World War II Aviation.
You've heard of them.
Springs. So yeah, the episodes should be dropping in the next quarter or two, and we'll definitely keep you guys apprised when
that'll be cool.
So today we got our guest.
We do.
We're super happy to have him. I was fortunate enough to watch him grow up around here. He started flying gliders when he was just a little kid, and now he's flying warbirds, and here we are. Iain Wayman.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, honored to be here with you.
I'm glad to have you. Thanks for coming out and sitting down with us.
You bet.
So you got quite an extensive array of flying, and you've been doing it basically your whole life, right?
I've been lucky. I suppose some could call me a silver spoon child time to time. But, yeah, I grew up at an airport just east of here, Meadow Lake Airport. Moved there when I was 1 year old and just grew up being around aviation. And there might have been a little brainwashing involved, but I pretty much took to it, I think, mostly on my own, just fell in love with it. And there's nothing else I wanted to do.
Well, you come from, you said, you're the fourth generation of pilots.
Yeah, my dad's side, 4 generations. My great-grandfather, he soloed, didn't get his license. And my grandfather on my dad's side, he was a doctor in the Air Force. Did a lot of GA flying on his own. Had 195, Cessna 140, some other neat airplanes. And then, of course, my dad and my uncles got into flying. And then on my mom's side, my grandfather was a naval aviator.
Oh, I didn't know that. Very interesting.
Yeah, so it runs in the blood, but there's nothing else I'd rather want to do. I love it.
Yeah.
It's the first dream of everybody, really. You look up in the sky.
Well, and he had no choice. I mean, your dad, basically, like you said, you were kind of brainwashed into it because he's been heavily into flying for almost his entire life, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, you grew up around it, and, being at Meadow Lake, it's kind of the Wild West, we call it out there, so there's a lot of just real flying. Like, you get to go out and just really kind of just fly the airplane and have some fun with it.
Yep, yeah, definitely. Had some wild times out there. It's been good. Learned a lot.
Yeah, so you started, I guess you soloed in gliders when you were, 14, 15?
Yeah, I was 14 when I soloed a glider that my dad and I rebuilt together. I say together. He did 99% of it at the time. I was busy being a kid most of the time, but
yeah,
I helped put some fabric on and build a canopy frame, that kind of stuff. And soloed that. Got my license in that later. But it really started out, I guess I was 6 years old. My dad leased a J3 Cub from a fellow airline pilot he worked with. And I was flying that around with him, having a hoot. I couldn't reach the rudder pedals, so he'd do the rudder. And I'd hold the stick and the throttle and do a bunch of wing overs and fun stuff. And that's kind of when the hook set for me.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, he got a Cessna 170. He was trying to get a Bamboo Bomber project, but it didn't work out. So he had the lump sum of money, bought a Cessna 170 instead. I remember my first flight in that. I thought it was so freaking fast because all I did
compared
was
to J3 Cub,
the Cub and then stomp biplane and gliders. So yeah, went through glider training and got rated in that, and then did my power add-on in a Cessna 170. So I had tailwheel time. And then the next thing was to tow gliders. That was kind of the next thing to do. There was a Super Cub out at Meadow Lake at High Flight Soaring Club they were using. They wanted 100 hours of PIC tailwheel time before I could start towing gliders. And you didn't need a commercial for it. There was no compensation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was flying the 170, just beating it up, trying to build my 100 hours of tailwheel time, and started towing gliders in the Super Cub.
About what age are you talking to this?
This was 17.
So 17.
Yeah. And then shortly after, I started towing at a club in Black Forest Soaring Society. And they had a Pawnee, so I was flying the Pawnee and the Super Cub.
That's a bit
everything I
more
get my
power.
hand. Yeah. Yeah, the Pawnees, you get a faster tow for sure. We had 250 horse in the Pawnee and only 180 in the Super Cub. So it's just a good way to build experience, flying in all sorts of different weather, and whether it was windy or not. If the glider guys wanted to go, you were going. So it was a good experience that way. And then I was working on airplanes too, just helping out, building projects, doing what I could. And I met a guy who had just bought a Broussard out there at the airport, and I was 17 at the time. And he'd never flown tail draggers, didn't know much about them, and I just wanted to be around it and work on it. It's cool radial engine airplane, spring steel landing gear, a lot like a de Havilland Beaver. My dad was the only guy around that had flown one, so I introduced him to my dad. And once we got the airplane airworthy, which I was helping with, my dad flew it, and then the very next flight he checked me out in it, and then I kind of became this guy's corporate pilot, flying him around all over in this Broussard.
Yeah, I remember those days.
And then he wanted another Broussard because he hated not having his Broussard to go fly around in and have fun in when it was down for maintenance or in an annual. So we were flying it all over, and on the West Coast we found another Broussard. It was sitting in a barn, of all places. Took it apart and brought it out here. I kind of did a restoration on it for him. I say restoration, more of a resurrection, just fixing what's already there. And started flying that around, and he wanted a Beech 18 project. Eventually found a good Beech 18 candidate, and I spent a couple of years rebuilding that, and then got my multi-engine rating so I could fly it. Started building time in that, flying around in it, and then he wanted to get a DC-3. So that was kind of the next project.
It's a progression.
Yep. And so through all these projects, I was able to get time for my A&P and got that done. And meanwhile, I was working on all my ratings and doing that stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of the DC-3, that leads into a very, very interesting story. I mean, you got to be a
Recently.
part. Yeah, of something that, most aviators that grew up, watching, thinking about World War II and the history of it would die to do. And you got to fly the DC-3 across the Atlantic and over to Europe for D-Day stuff.
Yeah, I was so honored to do that. Quite an experience. Hope to do it again in the future.
Can you tell us about that airplane? Was it a DC-3 or a C-47 or 50 or whatever?
Yeah, I'll tell you the whole story about how I kind of got into that.
That'd
so
be great.
I was flying the Beech 18 I rebuilt, and we had it at Sun and Fun. And this kid walks up to the Beech 18, he's checking it out. I get introduced to him. His name's Garrett. We're great friends now.
Just saw him at ICAS.
Yeah, we were 21 at the time, 20 or 21. I think we were 21. And he happened to have flown this C-47 Placid Lassie into the Sun and Fun Air Show. I'm flying a Beech 18. They're kind of similar airplanes. Like, oh, cool. And he shows me around the DC-3. I show him around the Beech 18. And then a couple of months later, I got an email from him saying, hey, we're looking for some co-pilots for this DC-3. Would you be interested in coming out and doing our ground school and some flight training to maybe get checked out as a co-pilot? I'm like, absolutely. Love to do that. So out to New York I went and did some training, got checked out in the right seat of the DC-3. And every time they had an event, mostly air shows or contract jump events where they'd take reenactors up and do static line jumps, I'd be flying with them. And then it was March of 2024, they offered to type me in the airplane. So I went out and got typed in it. Actually did my ATP initial in it, which was just a dream come true for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Placid Lassie, some of her history is she was built towards the end of 1943, went over to the European Theater of Operations, and actually flew 2 missions on D-Day. She was towing gliders.
Wow.
The airplane's never been fully restored. It's just been kept airworthy for this many years. So it's pretty...
So it's the real deal.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to fly that piece of history and know that those, you're flying over the English Channel, and you look at all those rivets, and those are the rivets that were there. I mean, there's probably some repairs in there and stuff, but this is the airplane.
Yeah, it's the airplane.
That did this 80 years ago.
Well, not only that, but what was the age of the crew?
They were the same age as
That's
me
what
at
I'm
the time,
saying.
you know,
You
mid-20s,
and
early 20s.
Garrett, and you guys had a crew of 3 flying that, right?
Yeah,
and
we had...
You're all 21, 22 years old?
Yeah.
So it's about as close as
Completely
you can
appropriate.
get.
Completely appropriate rather than a bunch of old guys.
Yeah, you got the plane, you got the
Yep.
same age guys doing it in all the same ways. Except for obviously with other modern stuff, I'm sure. But I mean, that's as close as you can get to reenacting the real deal.
And
It's
did
quite
you
the
guys do the
experience.
drops?
Yep, absolutely.
And-
Yeah.
So how much time do you guys spend? I mean, well, first of all, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
What's it like to fly across the Atlantic in a World War II
It's slow.
airplane? Yeah, it's slow.
It's slow and nostalgic and cold.
Yeah.
Very cold.
Yeah. So what kind of route you guys went up through Greenland?
Yeah, so this particular airplane had ferry tanks. So we didn't do the stop in Narsarsuaq, which I really wanted to go to Greenland. I would have loved to have done that. But there was a group of us, kind of a flight of 3. We didn't fly formation the whole way. We'd all kind of do our separate things. And then there were a couple other stragglers came along afterwards. And then one airplane, I think, went ahead of us. But we took off out of Oxford, Connecticut. That's kind of where we all gathered up, did our briefing.
And then everybody said, "Good luck. You're on your own.
Yep.
Hope to see you on the other side."
And I think it was May 18th. We left Oxford, Connecticut. We went to, what is it?
Nova Scotia or something like that, or
I'm having a brain fart. That's not Prestwick. That's Scotland.
somewhere.
Scotland.
Scott, yeah.
Northern Maine. What is it up there? Presque Isle.
Presque Isle.
Yeah. So we go to Presque Isle first. That's our first fuel stop. The town has a big welcoming for us. The guy who was hosting us happened to collect Cadillacs, so we had like these 1980s Cadillacs. All the crews got. We were driving around. They had a big dinner there in the town hall for us. And
So it wasn't just a fuel stop. You guys were stopping for the night, or
yep, yeah, we were
A little bit
hosted
of
there.
time.
Spent the night. It was awesome. And then we had 5 pilots and 1 crew chief on the airplane for the crossing. So we would just take turns each leg. And I had the next leg to Goose Bay. So we went into Goose Bay the next day. And then the weather was pretty crummy for getting across the Atlantic. We're keeping a close eye on that, but it's the North Atlantic. So at some point you kind of got
to deal with
as
it.
long
go.
as you have a way out. Like if the weather's bad, that's one thing, but you just got to keep yourself a way out. And the big thing for flying an old airplane across the North Atlantic is icing conditions. You got to have a way to get out of the ice and then get to somewhere where you can land safely. So we were kind of throwing the dice on the way out of there as to whether or not the weather would get good enough once we were over the North Atlantic that we could stay out of the ice. And sure enough, it was beautiful. Just kind of a scattered layer below us, scattered layer above us. And occasionally you could see the water, see some icebergs going by Greenland, and I really wanted to land in Greenland. I was, hoping the airplane would run good. But I'm like, what's something hiccuped? We could just land in our Narsarsuaq. That'd be a lot of fun.
Sounds like it's running a little rough, doesn't it?
We need a potty break. Let's go.
And we just all took turns. We have a little bit of heat in the cockpit, so the cockpit was bearable with a jacket on. And
So with
then
the
in
ferry
back of the
tanks, like
airplane,
what was the longest leg that you guys did?
we did just shy of 12 hours.
12-hour leg.
And this was from Goose Bay to Reykjavik, Iceland.
Wow, that is a long ways.
Yeah.
Man, I spent 2.5 hours in the B-25. Yeah, I want to get out of that thing. I can't imagine 12 hours. But I mean, with different pilots and stuff, I guess you get to get out and stretch and lay down and.
Yeah, we kept it pretty fresh the whole
Yeah.
time. We didn't get too
You're not
bored.
just
You
up
go
there.
up there and fly for a while, make some position reports, and then the other guys would be freezing in the back. So they'd crawl up
Tapping
into
on
the
the
cockpit.
shoulders.
It's like, okay, yeah, my butt's getting sore. You guys go ahead and take it. Get in the back and put a sleeping bag on and sit there in the back of the airplane
And just
shivering.
freeze.
Yeah, the first part of the journey, we had loaded part of Island in the Sky, an old John Wayne movie, where
Yeah.
they're flying that same route. So we were watching that in the back of the airplane. That's kind of fun.
That's pretty cool. That's
I'm
different.
not sure that's the one I'd want to
Yeah.
watch on that trip.
Yeah, they end up having to go down somewhere in Greenland, but
Yeah.
So no hiccups.
yeah, no hiccups. Landed in Reykjavik, Iceland. Airplane was running good, and spent I think 2 days there, just kind of resting, adjusting to the time, and checking out the sights. It's a cool place.
Yeah.
And then we loaded up and on to Prestwick, Scotland. And then spent one night there. And then we went to North Weald, England, and kind of based out of there for most of our operations was between North Weald and Duxford.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long were you guys in there doing So it's kind of like a week-long thing, right? Where you guys are kind of doing different
Yeah,
flights
so
and drops and
I think we-
kind of flying around Europe.
So we got to North Weald, I think it was like May 23rd, somewhere 22nd, somewhere right in there. My wife, Emily, she was airlining across. A bunch of other guys, family, wives are airlining, and they meet us at North Weald. And we were flying some jump missions, doing, reenactors, that kind of thing. Then they had the Duxford Air Show, so we were there for that. And that was very end of May.
And how's that compared to like American air shows? Just a very little sidebar.
Yeah, the thing I really liked about it is it was like one airplane at a time, and they would do a display. So you'd see very dynamic maneuvering with each airplane. So the B-17, and they'll come at the crowd. They don't really get the energy close up directed at the crowd, but they'll fly the airplane directly towards the crowd and then pull up and do a wing over before they get to the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the airplanes doing dynamic maneuvering like that up close was pretty cool. Whereas typically in the U.S., I feel like we just do parades, and then you see the airplanes go around
Pretty much,
in
yeah.
circles. So that was the biggest takeaway for me that I really liked is they would block off part of time for the B-17 or the DC-6 to do a demonstration. Seeing a big airplane like that maneuver is just cool.
So how many guys? You said there was 5 airplanes you guys took over from here.
Yeah, we had.
But then I'm sure you're joined by a ton of airplanes that are already in Europe.
Yeah. So there was one other Dragamoot DC-3 that was over there with us.
Okay.
And then the Millionaire A-26,
A-26, yeah.
they came over and joined. But I think the original plan was 8 airplanes, and we ended up with 6 over there. 5 over there.
From the States.
Yeah, one blew an oil cooler in Greenland. And then the R-4D, they were having engine problems, didn't end up leaving the States. But overall, pretty successful. I mean, the 75th, I think everybody who planned on going, they made it all the way there and back without any breakdowns. This time, we didn't really have any major breakdowns, just some basic mechanical stuff that held a couple airplanes back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the percentage of the war, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's how it went.
Yeah, there's always problems. There's always issues going on with these things, so you got to constantly maintain them.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you get there, and you have all kinds of different things going on while you're there. And I mean, what's it like just scooting around Europe?
Well,
that's
driving
gotta
on the
be-
wrong side of the road, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, I've never even
the
been
wrong
to.
side of the narrow road,
Yeah.
bordered by stone fences most of the time.
Yeah. Another thing is the airspace over there is totally different. And you pay for your services. So like over here, you just pick up flight following. You get flight following in the UK, they're billing you for that.
Oh, really? They're asking
Yeah,
for your
they're
credit
gonna-
card number.
Well, they're not doing it
First.
like that, but
Wait for your representative
you
on
get
the phone.
basic services. They look up your N number and they send a bill to whoever owns the airplane.
Oh, wow.
So totally different. And just getting used to their lingo over there was a big adjustment. That was probably
Yeah, I just imagine even just the accent and stuff. I mean, I know they speak English, but they don't speak English.
Yeah, and the funny part is the English are the hardest to understand.
They're the hardest
you,
ones.
You go to France and Germany, it's way easier to understand.
Hear that, English?
Yeah.
Get your act together. Learn to speak English.
But really awesome flying over there. The English were great hosts to us.
Yeah.
It was cool to be around those guys.
I mean, that's
Swap
just
stories.
the history that you're flying over, and I mean, recreating some of that. I mean, the stuff that you've grown up reading about, watching things, hearing stories from people.
Yeah.
To actually be over there and experience that and firsthand,
Mhm.
it's just got to be, like you said, it's a once in a lifetime type of
Opportunity
thing.
of a lifetime for sure.
Yeah.
Did anybody tow any gliders across?
No,
For the,
nobody's
observation?
towed a glider behind a C-47 in a long time.
Because that's probably one of the craziest things they did in
That's-
D-Day. That was like,
Oh, yeah.
That's a project a friend of mine has in the works. We'd like to see a Waco.
well, we do
glider
have
get
a couple
rebuilt.
here at the museum that were donated projects.
Well,
but, I
we
mean,
might
they're
need to talk about some parts out of those maybe.
yeah, there's not much left of them at all.
Waco would probably be easier than a Horsa. I mean, those things are
Yes.
huge. But
So I guess, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
well, being the historian or whatever, did you guys do practice drops in England before you
Yeah,
went
so we
over
did
and-
several drops in England, and I think it was June 2nd we started going across the channel. Some of the guys are active duty.
Yeah.
There's special forces guys, and then there's reenactors, civilians that are just paying their way to be a part of this. And then June 2nd, we also ended up basing in Cherbourg, France. So flew over to Normandy, brought the whole crew over on the airplane, and we had a little Airbnb on the French coastline there. It was awesome. I had my
Sounds horrible.
on June 4th, which is my birthday. I was flying the C-47 most of the day. We were smoking cigars while we're flying it, just having a great time. And then we had a wonderful dinner at this little stone house that was built in like the 1500s on the coast of France. It was like the coolest birthday I'll ever have. It was awesome.
I was going to ask you, out of that whole trip, what was one of the most memorable things? But it sounds like that might have been it.
I'd say
Celebrating
that
your
was
birthday
it.
there like that.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
pretty fantastic. So then I guess you guys conclude all that. You get back, no problems.
Well, there's more to it than that.
Okay.
So we do all that in France, up until June 7th, I think, is when we left there. And then we got the 75th anniversary of the Berlin Airlift to go to. But before that, we went to La Ferté-Lys, France, and they hosted us for a few days there. Beautiful grass strip, all sorts of cool airplanes, and we did our phase inspection. So pulled the airplane apart, clean spark plugs, doing all that stuff, just out in a grass field. It's pretty
In
cool.
Europe.
Like they really did.
Yeah.
Yep. And meanwhile, there's one particular moment I really remember is this Griffin Spitfire gets pulled out of the hangar and fires up and just does a whole show right in front of us there.
Really?
And there's just all sorts of cool airplanes coming and going. Got to fly formation with Junkers 52 while we were there.
Really?
That was pretty unique. Challenging to fly a DC-3 next to a Junkers just because they have such a different energy state in a descent and a climb. But it was a lot of fun.
Nobody
Yeah.
jumped out of the Tante Ju, did they?
No, not
Okay.
that I saw anyways. But,
Not on purpose.
yeah, we had a flight of 4. We did a diamond, so they were leading. Anytime they'd start descending, it was like gear down, flaps down, powers all the way back.
Try not to run over
and
it.
then
Oh, yeah.
do the pass. They start pulling back up. Gear up, flaps up.
Power in.
Power in, climb power. They're still pulling away. It was cool though. What a neat airplane, old Iron Annie.
Yeah.
So what else?
So
Kept
that was
going.
La Ferté-Lys.
Yes.
Now we go to Wiesbaden, Germany, and they host us at the Air Force Base there, and we set up a candy bombing.
Oh,
Just-
neat.
Yeah, to honor Gale Halvorsen. And on one of the flights, I got to fly Gale Halvorsen's daughter, so that was pretty cool. We had a flight of 4. We flew over Frankfurt, and then came in, did the candy bombing on the infield between the taxiway and the runway. And they had a whole bunch of kids on the ramp with guards and a little plastic fence holding them all back. We come in with these big yellow buckets and throw them out we wouldn't throw the whole bucket, but dump all these little parachutes with candy tied to them and little trooper models out the door. And we're all in trail, probably just 6 or 7 plane lengths behind each other each. Come in low, drop them out.
Was that Frankfurt or Berlin?
Berlin didn't want to host us on the
Probably not.
For the 70th, they did. For the 75th, for some reason politically, it just didn't work out. So
Yeah.
Wiesbaden hosted us.
Neat.
And I did one flight where we did the candy drop, and I was flying one of the airplanes, and another flight I was on the ground and got to watch it happen. And it was just incredible. All these kids screaming and hollering, and the fence goes down, and
It's
the
just a
last couple
stampede.
parachutes are falling to the ground. And it's just total stampede out there in the field, picking up candy, and it was neat.
That's great. That's fantastic.
And then from there, we went to Tannheim, Germany. One of the guys that taught me how to fly the DC-3, he was friends with these folks at a jump outfit at Tannheim. So we flew the airplane there, and they had what's called the Placid Lassie Boogie, where we just take a bunch of skydivers up and just have fun dropping skydivers. It was like a whole week we were there, and they were awesome hosts. As soon as we land, beautiful grass strip, just I guess it's north of the Alps. You can see the Alps right there.
wow.
And just beautiful,
Guys
picturesque.
living the life, man.
Come in and land, taxi up, and they come running up to the airplane with mugs full of beer, just giving us all beer, and we had a great time there. Just good people.
That was Tannheim?
Tannheim, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Tammy and I made our jumps farther south.
Oh,
Okay,
you did jumps
yeah.
out there.
So they they talked me into taking a tandem jump, my wife and I.
Oh, so you actually jumped.
Yeah, they're like, well, since you're flying the airplane, we'll do it for free. You guys want a free jump? I don't know. Emily's like, we got to do this.
You're like, I should at least know what this feels like if I ever have to do it on purpose.
Right. We'll do it. So we jumped out of Placid Lassie. Yep. It was beautiful.
That's quite far too much of a control freak to ever go tandem.
Yeah.
I want the parachute attached to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, now I want somebody who knows what
Good-
they're doing.
good for
pulling
you.
That thing.
Yep.
And I don't want anything to do with any of that.
Normally,
I'll just freeze.
being a pilot, that's kind of the way we are. We're kind of type A, kind of control freakish.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, I remember thinking to myself, I really don't have a lot of responsibility here. This is nice. Normally, I'm flying the airplane. I'm responsible for these 25 people we have in the back, and I'm stressed
You
out
get to
about
actually
things.
like
Now
look
I can
around.
just kick back.
cruise,
It's not
just
stressful.
cruise.
I just get to enjoy the experience of it. So there was some relief in just doing the skydiving. It felt like,
And
so you're standing in the door.
Emily was all over it.
Yeah, she was all about it.
That's
She's
cool.
like, yep, we got to do it. She's my buddy. We've been on all sorts of adventures together, and she supported me the whole way. I couldn't do it without her.
Yeah, it helps when you got a partner that you can lean on like that.
Vital.
Like you said, and it's not even like she's just okay, fine, I'll go, but she's like part of it. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
she always sticks herself right in there, and
Mhm.
and that's amazing.
Yep.
So did
Yeah,
you get to fly
couldn't do
anything
without
else
it.
while you were over there? Get a chance to fly in anything else? Get a ride? Nobody came up with a 2-seat Spitfire?
I hung around the Spitfires a little bit at Duxford, but
Yeah.
nothing ever came of it.
Yeah.
I
know
need to throw some money on the table for that.
Yeah, surprised because your dad. I figured he'd be out there and then just like hustling to get in a Spitfire.
I would have figured, like, Dad, you've been talking about Spitfires for so long. Just
Just-
throw the money at it and go
yeah.
fly a Spitfire.
Just go do it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe on the next anniversary when you fly over there.
Yep.
So that sounds amazing. Like you got all kinds of, just out of this world experiences out of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like it's about a month.
Yeah, all told, it was just a little over a month. I had to leave to get ready for firefighting season.
Yeah.
So I airlined home with Emily, and then the rest of the crew took the airplane back across the North Atlantic, and they had a very successful, good trip.
So I guess that's
Awesome.
good segue. We could talk about jumping into, I called it firebombing. I was corrected. No, not firebombing, but actually firefighting.
Yeah. So I came back from Alaska, 2023 season. I flew for K2 in Alaska. Had a great time. Turbine otters and beavers on skis, and got some good experience doing that. A lot of different types of flying. And I was at a Christmas party, winter of 2023, and met this gentleman, Michael Rutledge, and he has a company flying single-engine air tankers. And I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure Bill Dude kind of set this up, like, you guys got to meet. So, hey, Mike, you're in town. Come to this Christmas party we're having out at the airport.
Yeah.
And chit-chatted with him about the job, and he's like, if you're interested, I'd like to have you. Like, oh, okay, well, let me introduce this idea to Emily.
Yeah.
And she was just getting dressed. At the time, we were living at a camper on the airport. So I walked back to the camper. I'm like, hey, Emily, I just met this guy. You know, this is what his company does, aerial firefighting. Like, I've always wanted to do this. It'd be awesome. You know, that's what my dad did. And she's like, are you kidding me? And she's like, we have our 2024 Normandy trip. She's
Yeah.
like, well, we're still going to do that. I mean, we put everything aside to do this Normandy trip.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. We'll see what he can, if he can negotiate with us on that. And he was like, yeah, I'll give you the time. I'll give you the whole month of June. You go do that. And then July 1st,
You're
I'm going to
mine.
need you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, as soon as he met Emily, he's like, well, I want her too. So you want to be a crew chief for Iain. You need your CDL. And we're like, well, let us think about it. So we took probably about 4 days to think about the job for me and if she wanted to do it. And then we're like, yeah, you know what, this is a cool opportunity. Let's do this. We'll never have anything like this again. As she had 3 weeks to get her CDL done. So she just jumped right in, got her CDL done,
Wow.
so she could be my crew chief.
Yeah.
And then came learning how to do the whole aerial firefighting thing.
So what aircraft are you using for that mostly?
There's an Air Tractor 802, 16,000 pound, 800 gallon capacity, 1,350 horsepower, turbine, tail dragger, spring steel landing gear. It's got all the interesting stuff. It makes it challenging to operate.
They look really small until you get really close to them. then
Yeah.
they're pretty big.
It looks like a little dusty crop hopper airplane
Yeah.
when you realize, holy cow,
It's
this
big.
thing's big. Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
like a blown up version of that.
Yeah, so first you start off with going to the National Aerial Firefighting Academy, and they have a great course. You learn all about tactics and fire anatomy and really what your mission is as an aerial firefighter. And then I went to learn how to fly the 802 and did a bunch of training in it. And doing your first drops is pretty unique. The airplane has some interesting characteristics where when all that fluid is coming out of the bottom of the hopper, it creates a low pressure area under the tail of the airplane and it pitches it up. And then of course there's the CG change. So there's all these dynamics happening aerodynamically. So if we drop in what's called coverage levels, which is basically how far the gate opens and gives you a certain coverage level on the ground. We can do 1 to 6, and that number, 1 or 6 or anywhere in between there, designates how many gallons end up in approximately 100 square foot area on the ground. So a coverage level 6 would be 6 gallons of retardant or water in a 100 square foot area. So on a coverage level 6 drop, at a normal drop speed, which is 120, you're full forward elevator to keep the airplane flying level.
Wow.
And so our minimum drop height is 60 feet above the ground. So you'd be 60 feet above the ground, you pull the trigger, and you want to beat the airplane before it starts pitching up, because then it'll be too late. You'll just be able to hold, but not too fast. So you're learning this muscle memory skill of trying to hit a target or start at a target, then accounting for what wind drift there might be, pulling that trigger and pushing all the way forward on the stick, firm against the stop, to keep that airplane from climbing so that the last part of the load doesn't just get dispersed in the air. You want it to be still at that effective altitude. And then the hard part is knowing when to come back on the stick, because you got your elbow just about locked holding that thing up against the panel until the little last bit of that load starts to come off, and then you just bring it back without making too much of a jerk. So pretty interesting to learn. It was a lot
Art
of
and
fun.
science.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, a lot of science to it, but at the end of the day, it's an art form getting the...
What part of your flying experience before all this do you think kicked in the most when you're learning to do this? I know that 170 is, you're like full stick forward when you're taking off on that thing. So I've flown that once. That's a little different, but
I'd say
is there anything?
All of it kind of comes together to help you, but there's nothing exactly like doing a drop like that out of an 802.
And just feeling the whole difference.
It's just a unique experience to be 60 feet above the ground and put the stick all the way forward, and then as soon as the load comes off, pull it back. It's pretty interesting.
Well, and you're not doing this out in the flatlands. Generally.
Initially you're out there learning that way.
You start learning
you learn,
where it's flat, and then you start doing more dynamic drops and terrain, going downhill, and you try to never go uphill. Unless you have an out or there's a very particular reason to be dropping uphill. Otherwise, you always go towards your exit downhill, down terrain. And once you've done it long enough, you find it's actually harder dropping just in a flat field than it is in the mountains on a slope.
Because you're already heading
less
down.
References, and you can't tell exactly how high you are above the ground unless you have like some fence posts or something like that.
At eye level.
Yeah. Telephone poles.
So you got 2 seasons of that now, right?
Yep.
Now you're not just getting trained, but now you're doing training, and you're like moved up the ladder.
Yeah, we got a 2-seater last year, so I did some instruction in that, and just basic ground instruction, teaching tactics and how to fly the airplane in the firefighting environment. It's a really fun, rewarding job. The only downside is it takes you away from home for long times. And
now you got a little bundle of joy that you.
Yep. So first season, Emily got her CDL, and she was my crew chief.
Yeah.
And it was just awesome. We were just rocking the world together. I was flying the tanker, and she's right by my side.
Yeah.
With the loading trailer and the truck, and we spent most of our time in Miles City that year, and then towards the end of the season went down to Warland, and they kept extending us, and we just kept having fires, so we got extended all the way to the end of October, and it was the last day of season. The airplanes were frosty, and they finally let us go, and they said, "Yep, you can get out here, go home." So she's getting the airplane ready and slips on the frost on the wing falls off, and 802 wing, I mean, you're like 4.5, 5 feet
Yeah.
off the ground there.
Yeah, it's a big.
Slips, falls. I rush her into the ER, and I'll back it up. She falls, and one of the other pilots comes running over, and he's like, I think she might have broke her hip. I saw the fall. And she's like, she kind of sits up, and she goes, nope, it's my wrist. And she pulls her sleeve back, and her wrist is, the geometry was not right. And her watch was probably the only thing holding it together.
Oh, geez.
She's like, take my watch off, take my watch off. So I get her watch off. I'm like, we got to get you to the ER. So go into the ER and get her checked in. And they're running tests, and they ask you all the questions. Do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you do any drugs? Are you pregnant? No, we drink a little. I don't think we're pregnant. We've been together for 12 years and haven't really been doing anything differently. And
Surprise!
Apparently,
he did
I'm
have
out
some
in the
wild
lobby.
nights.
About that last one.
Yeah. Well, they always do a test. It's just protocol.
Yeah.
I'm out in the lobby filling out paperwork, and I go walking back towards her room, and the doctor sees me headed towards her room and comes to intercept me, and comes into the room at the same time I do, and he points at me and he's like, "You'd better sit down." And I'm like,
What did I do?
I feel okay. Do I look bad? I sit down, and he's like, "Well, the pregnancy test came back positive. Congratulations, Mom, Dad." We're like, "What?"
That
Weren't
changes
expecting
everything.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a different crew chief the next year. Didn't get him pregnant, luckily.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure your wife is much appreciative of that.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was awesome while it lasted. And then little Alec came into our life, and he's just been the best thing.
Yeah, it
We
really
love that
changes the
little guy.
perspective on things.
Absolutely.
Now you're a little bit less. I don't know. Maybe you're still pretty young, so the idea of being able to just drop everything and take off for a month and go to Europe, might still be in your lexicon, but it makes it a little bit
You got to
more
prioritize
difficult.
more.
Yeah.
It
Definitely
changes.
prioritize the time.
It changes the idea of being away.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be a hard question for you to answer because it's just been your entire life, really. But I mean, having had airplanes and flying and wanting to do that goal of being able to fly, actually a constant goal. It's always changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're always reaching something and then reaching for more. How do you think that really shaped your life as an adolescent? Where obviously you were more worried about wanting to go to the airport and get to fly, and you maybe weren't getting into as much trouble that a lot of teenagers might have done.
Yeah.
Growing up.
It's kind of twofold. I'd say there's a negative and a positive to it.
Yeah.
I got to be around some really quality characters, being interested in the aviation. I was always hanging out with the old guys at the airport.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for all the people I've met in aviation and all the opportunities that they've extended me, took risk on me so that I could make something of myself. And the downside is I hated it. I didn't want to go to school. I hated school. I want to be at the airport. It took me an extra year to graduate high school just because I was doing online schooling because that's what allowed me to be at the airport for most of the time. And that's what I was doing. I was at the airport all the time, having fun, working on airplanes.
As the man said, don't ever let school get in the way of your education.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, there you go. Well, one of my dreams was to be a naval aviator. That's what I wanted to do. If I could fly fighters off of an aircraft carrier, that's like the pinnacle of aviation to me. And I would have headed that route had education been easier for me. I felt like it was always getting in the way of what I really wanted to do. So that never kind of was an option of.
Yeah, if you're not
exploring for
into
me.
books, and you're not into that whole studying portion of it. I mean, talking to Ashby and just the books that he showed us for the training for flight school.
The test
Test
pilot
program.
school. But even
no way.
talking to Arnie or Brian, any of those guys,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to hit the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And-
don't mind hitting the books. I enjoy learning what I enjoy.
Yeah.
But learning about whatever unapplicable thing that the system wants me to learn was just it's challenging for me. I
So
was much
where do you
more.
see this taking you? I mean, where are you looking for this to take you? What you do know in your passion? I mean, what I mean, you wanted to be a F-18 pilot coming off of carriers, but that's not in the books for you. So what do you see? What do you want?
So I think the long-term goal for me would be to be a designated pilot examiner for special types, and to keep these warbirds flying. Really, throughout my whole experience in aviation, warbirds has always been at the center. That's what I'm most interested in. If I could make a living flying warbirds, that's where it would be. And the closest I can get to that would be being a designated pilot examiner for warbirds eventually. That's kind of a long-term goal. And I think that's a good area to give back to the community and also help ensure that we can safely operate these airplanes into the future. In the past, it was pretty easy for people to get a lot of experience in unique airplanes and build their way up into these airplanes. And a lot of time what you see now is somebody that has the capital to go buy a P-51 or a Corsair or something like that, and they don't really get that experience of towing gliders and Cubs and flying Stearmans across the country and training in T6s. And so there's a big gap in experience to bridge there. And I think it's important we do our best to...
Well, we've wound up losing priceless airplanes in far too many of those instances of somebody who's really not as able as they think they are.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that, there's a big separation that has come from World War II, right? So we're, almost 100 years away from it, 85 years away from World War II. But just even when they were brand new airplanes and they were being properly trained pilots, the attrition rate, just training, was atrocious.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
know.
people
These
get
are
away from
thoroughbreds
they
of
don't
airplanes.
realize what these things already inherently bring to the table.
Yeah,
Much
like-
less if you, you're saying, if you're not doing it maybe in the right way or doing the, really giving it its due,
Yeah.
then you're likely to have an issue.
Well, and you make the point of that's when they were brand new.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
And-
But and nowadays, a lot of these things are kind of brand new. I mean, we're
Well,
building
some
these
better
things.
than new,
pretty
you know,
much.
you
We're
add
restoring
some
them.
modern equipment
We're not
helps.
flying them every day.
Right.
Multiple sorties a day. We're not wearing them out. So I mean, they're really good stuff.
Well, at least the stuff coming out of this place is.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of places. It's
Yeah,
not just us.
I know.
But
I'm
I mean,
prejudiced.
I mean, you're seeing the level because the cost of it is getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
So, like Iain was saying, is you're not seeing. I don't know how to really phrase it, but you're not really seeing it as much where the old timer that has the plane in his hangar is letting somebody like Iain, when he's 17, come out and fly his airplane to learn. You're not seeing that as much because these things are costing more. It's costing more for maintenance. It's costing more for insurance. So people are getting a little more selective as to who they're allowing to fly their airplanes.
As they should.
Yeah.
And like you say, to have a designee and stuff, I mean, those guys are going away too. We just lost Ronnie Gardner a few months ago, and I mean, that guy was a legend. But I mean, they're not being replaced like they were in generations past. So I think, for you to carve that out for yourself is a great path because there's a need for it, like a very big need. And you've been doing it your whole life. I mean, I would trust anybody with you to put you in an airplane with them and go, go fly with Iain. You're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. You're going to learn some great stuff. So
Well, and
Thanks.
and again, a young guy like you giving back is so vital to
Well, that's
this community.
how I got anywhere in aviation, was because somebody helped me out.
Sure.
I remember going out to Meadow. I really didn't spend a lot of time in Meadow Lake, but I remember going out there and just seeing you run across to somebody's hangar and open it up, and I'm like, "Whose hangar is that?" Oh, that's so and so's. He just leaves it open, lets Iain go over and fly his airplane, and that's what they did. They knew that he was capable. They knew where he came from.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
had
then-
to put your work into it,
Yeah.
Usually that was helping them with an annual
Sure.
or doing something.
That's what it's all about in this community. And that's what we do here at the museum on Saturdays and stuff. And we're real lucky to, I don't know, maybe, you having your son and maybe trying to kind of centralize a little bit is good for us. Because,
Selfishly.
he's not off in Alaska. And, we do lose you for the fire season and stuff,
Yep.
but we definitely had you around here a lot more.
It does ground me a little bit more, which is good.
And so
As
we're
it
really,
will.
really looking forward to having you be a bigger part of the
Oh, I
museum
appreciate
and
that. I'm excited for that.
flying planes and, having your eye on all this stuff because we trust that you know what you're talking about. It's nice.
There's still a lot to learn. You
Yeah.
can't stop learning with these things.
No, never.
Yeah.
So we have a ton of stories. I mean, there's so much more we could talk about.
Well-
He touched on cross country and a steerman and stuff like that. It's kind of an interesting little thing, but I think we'll
Well,
have to
we'll-
hold off on that for another time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because we'll want to do this again anyway.
You
We
got
can
any-
do another one, and we'll talk about how I got involved with the museum and
Yeah.
and flying stuff we've done here.
We
That'd be
definitely
great.
could do all that. You got any last questions for this young man?
No, other than just say thank you.
Oh, and by the
Thank
way,
you guys.
we do call him Little Ian,
I
but that's because when he actually it's
Well, it was-
literal for a
At
while.
one time, I know he must.
He
have
was
been
Little Ian.
Little Ian, but
Yeah.
the first time I looked across the ramp, oh yeah, it's Little Ian. It's like compared to who?
Yeah, not so much Little anymore.
Yep.
so.
I'll still, I call your dad or something on the phone. I say, hey, it's Little Ian,
Little
so he
Ian.
knows which one.
Yeah.
My dad's been around here too, so.
Yeah. Well, Ian, we really appreciate you sitting down with us and look forward to even more with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks so much. It was a real treat. Whoa. See if we can make this.
All right, take care.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, what do you think about that?
What I thought about it to begin with, and it still comes back for me, is the multi-generation approach to this. You and your dad, Ian and his 3 generations. I expect if I live long enough, I'll see Alec.
Yeah, the
here.
5th generation. Yeah, definitely.
But to be able to form a life doing what you love is absolutely priceless.
Yeah, I mean, how many people, do you know, myself included, going through life that, when you're growing up, you don't know what you want to do. You have no idea. Heck, most of us wanted to be a center fielder for the Yankees or, a quarterback for the Broncos or whatever. But, I mean, realistically, he's out there doing it from day one, essentially, getting to grow up around it. Aviation's kind of like that because I think it's not really something you just kind of dabble in.
No.
It's something that, if you want to be proficient at it or decent about it, you live it. And his dad lived it and is still living it.
Yep.
And not only that, but then they lived at Meadow Lake. So, I mean, you all you're doing is hearing airplanes every day, all night. You walk outside, there's airplanes. You're getting to know all the
But
guys.
that's paradise.
Yeah, and then he grows up, and he's little Ian running around. And like you said, the guy, he just absorbs it. He absorbs the opportunities. And you could, but that's a testament to him. Because
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people, they're thrown in. I mean, take my kids. I love my kids. My kids were here, and they were, really involved in all this all the time because they had to be, because I needed to spend time here. But they didn't pick up the same thing. They're not aviation people. They're not interested. They, once they grew up and got old enough to go do their own thing, they went off and did their own thing. Where he was inundated in it and just ran with it.
Well, I've told people countless times I could have learned to fly,
Yeah.
and I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Never grabbed me hard enough.
and there's in the community, I guess, is kind of it's got a few of those people in it. They've just been doing it for a long time, and it bit them, and they just run with it, and then they make careers out of it. And I think he's got a great opportunity to keep going down the path that he's doing, because there's a huge need for it. First of all, I mean, there's
The
a void.
DPE.
Yeah, there is a void for out there, especially in the warbird community. I mean, once he starts getting rated in some of the stuff, and then he can start signing people off, it's just a snowball effect for him. It'll be great.
Well, it's not just a snowball effect for him, but it exponentially increases, and I mean it exponentially increases the people that we can start putting into cockpits.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's a whole nother subject. I mean, you got to really kind of be particular about who you're putting in some of these airplanes.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, they're, like I said before, they're so expensive, and they're not just guys out at the hangar that, have one in their hangar or something. It's part of a collection, and there's a lot that goes into all that. But yes, the opportunities to get these things flying a little bit more, we are hamstrung with the pilots.
Yeah.
We just don't have the pilots, and when you need a pilot to fly one of them, you got to call a few people up and then figure out how to fly them out and how to pay them and how to get them out here. And
they're busy people.
they're busy people. They got a lot of their own because they know how to do this stuff, so they're in demand. So that's a good thing to have.
No,
I mean,
it'll be
and look at
great.
the opportunity it gave them. I mean, just hanging around the airport and then taking every opportunity you can get, and then next thing you know, you're flying
Placid Lassie across the Atlantic.
D-Day missions
How
with,
cool.
I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of life is that, I mean, we talked to my dad about doing the carrier takeoffs, and I mean, that's once in a lifetime kind of stuff, and
Except we haven't talked to your dad about the carrier takeoffs
well, I mean,
yet.
I think he touched on it a little
No,
bit.
he touched on it.
Yeah,
but
so
we
we'll
need
get
to
into
go
that.
back and
So for
do
sure.
that too.
Yeah, there's a lot that we got to do. I mean, hey, it's a new year,
It is a new year.
and we're going to keep this thing going, and I'm super excited, and we have a lot of great people lined up, and we're just going to keep this thing rolling.
I intend to.
So yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to, add. We're dead, and you wouldn't know it around here, but we're actually in wintertime. It'd be in January 1st in Colorado and in the 60s and 70s. I mean, so I don't know. Maybe we'll get some more good weather for a little while, but we're not really doing a whole lot here at the museum as far as activities and stuff. But
No, not yet.
we got a couple new things here in the shop. We got a Mustang wing that we're doing some rebuilding on, and the P40 right here behind us is getting really close to being certified and getting flown for the first time. So that's still something that we have going on.
You did say we've got another Coleman teaser.
We have another
the
Coleman
end of
teaser
this.
here in the next couple of minutes. Stick around and watch
That'll
that
be
thing.
great.
We're getting some more of those sent out. If you'd like to see those teasers before we get them on the podcast, just watch us, hit us up on our social media. I like to post that stuff as soon as I see it. I just share it and put it on my social media, which is on the description page wherever you found us, YouTube, Spotify, I don't know, wherever anybody's listening. So you got anything else there, partner?
No, sir. Just
All right.
happy to be here and looking forward to 2026.
All right. So for myself, Scott Clares, my partner Rob Gale, and William Stephenson behind the cameras, stay safe out there.